This is a very sad guitar. It says it's a Fender 1971 jazz bass, and that comes from the serial number with the F, large F, beneath it. But this is one that has been kept in the cave of a trog. The neck is got dirty. Not sure about what the neck's going to tell me whenever I go to measure it. And here's the problem that I have here. It has all the makings of a Fender bass jazz, but these tuners don't have Fender written on them. And they're identical in every way. This one, by the way, has been badly fitted. Somebody put that on and they didn't put it slided in properly. But and they're very rusty, very dirty, very grotty. And the whole thing is very grotty and dirty, and that's what makes me think it was in a cave. And we have a little, because I'm talking to you, we have a little cat who wants to disturb me and get all right, Cuddles. Back to you in a second. She's on my arm and I can keep going. Fender jazz bass, it has all the makings except for those tuners, but this thing needs a lot of work. And I'm going to strip it right down to its bare bones, because look at the state of it. As I say, it looks very much like a Fender. This is very Fender-like, but the knobs are not. And you can see how rusty everything is. It's going to be fun taking that apart. Look at the pickups. Really bad shape. It must have been in a damp cupboard for many years. So the strings, as you can see, are awful. Frets don't look terribly bad at all. The nut is there. And the tuners are there. I'm going to use some infrared light to see if I can find any sign of a Fender marking on the head. There should be a big F there. I might actually see a shade there, but we'll see. But did they take off the Fender logo? Did they replace the neck? Georgie girl's away again. So I'm going to dig in hard there and look and see what I can find out. But it's in need of a lot of love. And I don't even know if the electrics work. Neck looks okay at first glance, but let's get the big camera on and start ripping this thing to shreds. It nearly takes up my whole bench, but let's get the strings off first and see what we've got. And don't think I'm going to keep those strings. Where do we start? Let's take the neck off, because I'm curious to find if there's any markings in the neck. Because you've got a Fender logo on the badge. Let me just see, I just bumped it there. So let's go down and take the neck off. And you can see with me what we've got. So why would you have a 1971 plate, but not a 1971 guitar? And it's been in storage for such a long time, or hidden for such a long time, you would think that it was a Fender. It looks like it's a square. Looks perfectly fine, so let's just see what we've got here. Well, we've got no markings whatsoever. Let me just see. Unfortunately, what was... Right, so you'd like to think you'd find some markings on a Fender, because they usually mark them and number them and all sorts of things. But that neck has only ever been on one guitar. So, and this, oh, it has some sort of marking there. Let me see if I can... I'll have to take a picture of it and then examine it on the computer. See if I can figure out if it has anything. I was hoping the neck would tell me. But let me just take a picture and I'll zoom it up in the Well, let's get this off, all right, and see if there's anything that'll tell us in behind the scenes what's going on. And I hope they all come off and not give me a lot of trouble. Oh, look, they're going to have to all be replaced. You see, the inside of the screws aren't rusted, so that's a good sign. Not like the other guitar where the screws are rusted right in. So, not the same kind of problems as, yeah. Well, that looks promising. Right, okay. So let's see what's lies beneath. Oh, it's just a pick guard, so there's nothing to get excited about. Well, that can be rescued. Now these. Taking the part's the easy part. Now let's just see. Do you say anything's pickups? You don't say anything on you, do you? No, you don't. What are you up to? Hey, you. I'm going. Oh dear, oh, she's being very naughty tonight. I have a box of pins, tailoring pins, the very sharp ones, and they're closed up in a box. And today I was trying to open my SIM card, and she came along and tipped the box, and all the metal pins went everywhere. So I closed it up and sealed it, and she's just knocked it off the bench onto the floor, and there's hundreds of pins in the floor. My goodness, 10 minutes later, picking up all the pins from the floor with a magnet, and it turns out not all the pins that I have in that box are metal, so I had to find them with my hand. Little bitch. She rules my life. Right, okay, this is not giving me any clues, but I'm seeing some stuff. And whenever I've done all this and taken it all apart, I can then do some research online to see what, you can see the state of that. And there's some words on those, are just 500k resistors. That's all going to have to come apart. What kind of way are, oh, the knobs don't turn. Oh, no, the knobs don't turn. So that's going to be fun. Let me just see if they're, I don't see any screws on them. Alright, okay. But they're all corroded. Look how badly corroded the knobs are. They're really grey. These knobs I quite like. I don't think they're real ones from Fender era, but they look quite nice. I'm going to slice this now. Just cut the cords to the earth and to this pickup. It's a neat enough, and I don't think it's original because that soldering doesn't look original. It's hard to tell. Let's have a look and see. Alright, okay. Well, I'm going to snip you off, and I'm going to snip you there, and snip you there. Oh, no, snip the wrong one, but that's beside the point. That's going to take some work to get that. Front's not just as bad, but that's still a lot of work. Let me see if this will fit in this one. There's nothing written on this inside of it. The earth wire's there. It'll come out. Now you, let me just see if you'll come out gently. Yes, you will. If I work out you from side to side. So, oh, you're stuck to the bottom a little bit with the same kind of sticky stuff that's on that. So that's just, yeah, right, okay. It's cleaner, but there's not a thing on it written. Looks like a nice pickup though. And that. Anything written in the holes in the inside? Not a thing. Is that the original color? It looks like it. I can't see anything that tells it's okay. I'm going to start doing some research now to see what I can figure out. Okay. Hands are all dirty. And that neck. That's the thing that's throwing me. I could have taken the plate for granted in the back, but not having Fender on this, that's the problem. Right, okay, we'll see. Oh dear. Well, I can't find anything on this guitar that is a Fender. That's not Fender because those barrels should be fatter. There's no Fender markings on it, which doesn't always mean a lot, but it is old, but I think it's a fairly cheap copy. This here is definitely not a Fender, because Fender use fatter pots, and they use not all the time, but they use cloth covered cable, so that's not real either. And it looks like they're been in there since the start, because there's no scratches with any other potentiometers that would be bigger or bigger washers, and so that's scrap. Those could be good pickups, but I just don't see anything that Fender do that have those magnets on the bottom. You see those magnets there? Now, some manufacturers do, but they could be a good manufacturing base. This one's been resoldered. Don't know why. Let's hope they're working. But it could be a good manufacturer pickups, but I'm not too sure whenever I see the rest of this. The neck's not Fender, and those are not Fender. Now if you look closely at those, you'll see that if you look at the shape of them, they're like a coffin shape, down that way and down that way. Fender are that shape, but they come down like a coffin, and there's a little knob, and then they go in behind these. So I can't find these anywhere, so I'm saying they're fake as well. And there's nothing on this guitar that's real in the way of a Fender. It doesn't mean to say it's not a good guitar, but there are people selling the pickups for 400 quid, and they're selling these things here for 460 quid, and one of the people selling one of these for 280 quid, and they don't have Fender marked on them either. But how can you tell from the internet? You need to be studying this, and I don't have the time to study it. It's not, well, let's see what the pickups are like, but I don't think I'm going to clean this in front of you because it's going to take too long to clean. I should have tested, shouldn't I? What I will do is I'll clean this all and come back to you when I'm putting it back together. Well, that's it cleaned up, and it's a relic. It is relic in a way. I'll keep looking. I'm going to get everything cleaned up now, and I'll come back to you when I'm ready to put this back together and everything clean, because this is going to be minuscule cleaning, and you're not going to want to watch that. You're not going to want to watch that. All right. Well, I am confused. The body might be a Fender. There's a couple of markings there that I saw on when I was doing some research that showed it similar markings but not identical. And I looked closer at the wood, and I looked at the way it's become ply inside, and that's the way Fender do their bodies. I thought originally the wood was a cheap pine type thing, but it's not. But the thing that's confusing me is that all these Fenders from '71 had a chrome plate there, and they always left two holes there. Always two holes there. Some of them had a finger holder guard there too, but there's no holes there and there's no sign that the holes are there. So what I'm going to do now is I've got one screw stuck in there, so I'm going to drill a hole like I did with the other one. Dowels. Okay, beautiful. Okay, and I'll come back to you whenever I've done it. Right, all I'm going to do is put the electrics together. But because these are all completely sealed, jammed, can't move them, I'm going to replace that whole thing. And there we are, that's it all wired, ready to go red to red, black to black, and black to black up there, and white to white. Yeah, 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 and there's a black has to go from there. Is there another black one I need? No, black to black there, and black to black there. Right, okay. That, by the way, has been treated. You see where it's black color? That's been treated with that crust stuff on the inside, and that's pretty hard now, so that should do the job. Okay. All right, now I'm going to put these in and put that in, and then just put a connection between the two and some shrink wrap around them. I'll do that on camera. She must see another bird or a cat. What is it, a bird or a cat? What do you see? You're chirping away there like a chirpy, chirpy, cheep, cheep. What do you see? Right. Pause while I screw this all together. What are you looking at? What do you got? Let's just test it to make sure. Right, okay. Right, that's all working well. Right, okay. Well, I know there's another thing with genuine Fender. These are genuine Fender screws, so at least they'll have the screws genuine Fender. Those powerful pickups though. Those are really good pickups, very strong. Put a lump of solder on that, so when it's sitting there it'll force against the metal to give an earth. So do that later. Just a quick explanation. I'm going to put the plates on, and I'm going to use those screws which I've steeped in that crust stuff because the tops are rusty but the threads are not so bad. I'm going to put the screws in there. That's all ready. I'm going to put the rest of the guitar together, and I'll come back to you just before I put on the neck. Okay, so you won't have to watch all this. It's just putting screws in. Okay, that's the screws in, 8 there, and I put new stainless steel screws in all over the place here because the previous screws were just a rotten mess, so they're gone. I'm going to put the neck on now. The neck's not done yet, but I'm putting the neck on now. I'm not putting a shim in or anything just yet. There's probably nothing a lot to do to the neck. I'm going to speed it all up very fast, and like I usually do, because you've seen the neck being done a million times, so do that next, okay? Right, I lied. We're in darkness here because I'm going to do a check infrared to see if I can see anything in the way of any kind of label hangover. Not infrared, what do you call it? Ultra. No, there's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there, is there? No, there's not. There's not. No, there's not. I can see nothing left over from it. Nothing at all, unfortunately. There should be an affinity sign there, but there's not a sign of anything. No. Okay. So what I'm going to do next, I've changed my mind. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to strip this head because it is so dry looking. Get into focus. It is just so dry and dull looking that I think it needs to have some of that high finish oil from Crimson Guitars, but I want to put it on properly. Right, just before we go into the oil aspect, if you look very closely, you'll see that there was a different set of tuners on this before with different screws. Now they were up there. There's one of the holes there, right? There's another hole there. That's just dust that kept them from being filled in. So that means that those tuners that I took off are not the original tuners. Does that give me a clue to anything at all? Could this be? But there's no markings on it. No, it can't be. It can't be a Fender neck. But it does sort of indicate that they've changed the tuners. I'm soaking the screws in crust just because I can. And I'm going to wash this down now, and I'm going to put some high build finishing oil on it, because it just looks so dry and dull. I don't know if you can see that. Right, okay. Just give this a good wash on this side. Do one side at a time and the edges. And then I'll put some finishing oil on it. This is the high build guitar finishing oil. It's meant to go on natural wood that hasn't had any gloss or anything over it, so don't use it on wood that's been painted or anything like that there. It's not any use for that. I have found that I can use it on necks and it does a good job, and I'll probably use it on this neck and let you see what the result is. But there's a certain special way you've got to put it on. You just can't slap it on. What I see there, what is it that I see there? I see the remnants of a decal. So there was a sticker on this, but it's not a Fender, because the other end of the neck and this is not right here. Let me just take away the edge of this decal stickiness. Or listen, I could be reading into this wrong. That could be just a sticker the guitar player put on it at one stage. So I could be making the mistake of saying it's a Fender sticker, but it's not. Right, so put this on, put it on fairly thick, and then let it sit, and then rub it off and rub it in. And I don't know whether you can see that or not. Let me just put it the other way to see if you can see it. No, you can't see it, can you? Yeah, you can see it there. It's now glossy. But that won't stay glossy. But in 5 minutes that'll rub in. Then I'll come back and rub it all off again, put another coat on and rub it in and rub it off, rub it and rub it off. Why do I do these things? Why don't I just leave things well enough alone? Hey? Why? What's wrong with you, Austen, that you have to do these things? Okay. There you go. Pig. Dog. Hey? Get in focus there. Now, I think I'm going to stop now, have a drink, and figure out a way to how to fill that. It's not going to take an awful lot of weight, so I think maybe wood fillers. Actually, wood fillers is going to do it. I'm just going to do that now. Wood fillers will do it because it's only going to hold the tuner in. So I'll just put a little drop of wood fillers in there. Press it in. And Henry's your uncle and Bob, what's it? Bob's your uncle and Fanny's your aunt. Bob's your uncle and Fanny's your aunt. Alright, cheers. You can see it's a subtle difference on it. Gives it a little bit of a shine, takes that dry look away from it. But it also protects the wood. Right, going to try to get that underbow out of the neck. An underbow with no strings on is no good because it will cause more underbow. Overbow you might be able to get away with because the strings will straighten it. I've already tested, so yeah, that goes that way okay. It's pretty tight that way, so let's just give it a half a turn to see. Oh, that's not bad, turning. Well, damn it all, that's it fixed. One little half turn. Makes it really good to know that the underbow's keeping it. Okay, it is fixed, but I just would like another little quarter turn. Yes, that's perfect now. Because the stretch of the strings will be pulling it that way, it's good to know that the metal rod is pushing up against it to give it some pressure, because hopefully it'll, when I put the strings on this, that they'll even it themselves out and will give us a straight neck, but we can't be sure of that because the truss rod is putting pressure there or there, somewhere like there, upwards, but it could still be problematic at the end. That'll tell you how good a neck it is. Why does that look dirty down there? Why does that look dirty? Oh, I know why. I put my dirty fingers on it when I was putting fillers on the back of it. Remember I put some fillers on the back? Dirty bogger. Right, I'm going to speed through this now. I'm going to sand this, clean it. Well, I'll just double check it, but I'm going to speed it up unless I find something amazing. Now, despite all my bitching, this is a nice guitar, nice neck, and you can see there's a nice sheen on the neck now with that high build guitar finishing oil from Crimson Guitars. And I'm not on a commission. Wish I was. Hey, Baldy, send me some free. Just as I was about to put the tuning heads on, I noticed a marking inside it, and it says HC1. So I thought maybe that's 1, 2, 3, 4. When I looked at the others, they all say HC2. So now I'm going to look and see what HC2 means. Oh, I don't know, what's confusion again? Now I looked these up, they're Hang Chang tuners, right? And someone says they're licensed and made for the Fender jazz guitar made in Mexico. And another person says they've got the HC tuners on their Fender Stratocaster that came from Fender. So that confuses me even more. Are these Fender licensed tuners without the word Fender on them for the bass guitar, jazz bass guitar made in Mexico? So now I'm going to spend a little bit more time looking up the Fender jazz bass guitar made in Mexico to see if I can find anything else out. Alright, I don't know nothing. It talks about a P bass, and these are Fender for a P bass made in Mexico, and I actually saw an image of these same ones for the Fender P bass made in Mexico without, and I'll put a picture up here, without the, so that throws all my calculations into disrepute. So this could be a Fender, a Mexican Fender, and somebody's taken off the decals. Anyway, if anybody knows anything more, tell me. It's driving me nuts. Okay, I'm going back to business. Well, this has been a guitar with a lot of fiffing and faffing about. Didn't know what it was. Still not 100% sure what it is, but it's working now, and as you can see, it's relicked a bit. But it's working well, it's got great action, and everything's working as well as it should be. Now, at the beginning, I didn't think this was a Fender, but the more I looked into it and dug deeper, the things that didn't add up for me was the nut, and it didn't add up was these pickups and stuff like that there. But I do think, I'm 85% sure now, it's a Mexican Fender that somebody's taken the decals off. And they've also rewired the inside with pots that were rubbish, which as you saw, I changed. So I'm pretty sure 85%, but that's not enough to put it on the market as a Fender. So it's going to have to remain as maybe a Fender. That, I don't believe, is the plate for it. The Mexican Fenders didn't have a back plate on it with a number. They had a plain plate on the bottom of it. So somebody may have found that plate and stuck it on this guitar. All the numbering was on the head of the guitar, which has all been either removed or maybe not, but it's sounding well. Let me just check the tuning again. You can see I'm not a bass guitar player, but now it's all sounding good. This is the all the pickups on. That's the back pickup now. That's all. Now we'll turn off the back pickup. That's the front pickup, right? Now if I turn on the back pickup and turn the tone, but everything's working, and it's working well.
those aren't the right knobs, but I quite like them. The knobs should be black dial knobs, maybe, but this has been messed about so much that it's hard to really find out. But I never found out what the Fender pots should have looked like from Mexico. But then again, I spent more time than I should have done on this guitar doing research for it. But to me, I still say it's, if it had been a genuine Fender Jazz, you're talking £500 or £600. If you're talking about a Fender Mexico, you're still talking about 400 quid, maybe 500 quid in a good condition. This one's not in great condition, so I think you'd be lucky to get 200 for it. This is my amplifier, my guitar amp, on half power as usual. I can't play guitar, never mind bass guitar. Anyway, it's going home to a steady. Bye bye.